What happens when loyalty is tested, love is questioned, and betrayal lurks within the palace walls? Dive into the judgment of the Oba's daughter, a gripping Yoruba tale of courage, wisdom, and redemption. Watch as secrets unfold and destinies are shaped. Subscribe to Echoes Africa Stories now for more thrilling African tales, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the drama, mystery, and lessons our stories bring. In the ancient Yoruba kingdom of Iṣẹyin, the land was ruled by Oba Adeyemi, a wise but strict leader. His daughter, Adebisi, was the pride of the palace, graceful, intelligent, and beautiful. Suitors from neighboring kingdoms came to ask for her hand, but Adebisi had eyes only for Ọláwálé, a young farmer with humble roots. Their love blossomed in secret, nurtured by moonlit nights by the river. But their union was forbidden. A farmer could never marry the daughter of an Oba. Yet, love knows no boundaries. One fateful evening, Oba Adeyemi's guards spotted Adebisi and Ọláwálé together, their laughter carried by the breeze. The next day, the palace erupted in scandal. "You have dishonored this kingdom," thundered Oba Adeyemi, his voice shaking the grand hall. Adebisi fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Baba, love is not dishonor. It is truth," she pleaded. The Oba's council demanded punishment, but the Oba, torn between love for his daughter and duty to his people, decreed, "The gods shall decide their fate. Tomorrow, they will face the tribunal of Oran." The next day, the people gathered at the sacred grove where the tribunal of Oran, a divine trial overseen by priestesses and the talking drum, would take place. Adebisi and Ọláwálé stood in the center, surrounded by sacred statues and ancient carvings. The high priestess, Aya Agbik, stepped forward, her staff glowing faintly. "The gods demand a test of truth," she announced. "You must cross the river Oyen. If your love is pure, the river will part. If it is tainted, it will consume you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The river Oyen was known for its mystical powers. It judged not only the heart but also the spirit. Hand in hand, Adebisi and Ọláwálé stepped toward the river. The crowd held its breath as the couple's feet touched the water. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the river began to shimmer and swirl, and a mysterious voice echoed from its depths. "Only one of you speaks the truth. Choose now who will step forward." Adebisi's hand tightened around Ọláwálé's. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "I will go." The river roared louder as Adebisi stepped forward. Suddenly, a whirlpool formed at her feet, and an ancient deity, Ọláwálé, rose from the water. The crowd fell to their knees in awe. "Why do you step forward, child?" Ọláwálé's voice was deep and melodic. "Because my love is true, and I would give anything to protect Ọláwálé," Adebisi answered, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. Ọláwálé turned to Ọláwálé. "And you? Do you hold the same truth in your heart?" Ọláwálé hesitated, his eyes darting to the crowd. His heart pounded as the truth weighed on him. He loved Adebisi, but he also feared losing himself to the demands of her royal world. "Speak, farmer. The river knows when you lie," Ọláwálé warned. Ọláwálé's hesitation was deafening, his silence a storm brewing in Adebisi's heart. The crowd watched, their breath caught in their throats. Oba Adeyemi's expression was stern, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. Ọláwálé, the water deity, leaned closer, his glowing eyes piercing into Ọláwálé's soul. "Truth binds the waters and lies unravel them. Speak, Ọláwálé, son of the earth." Finally, Ọláwálé lowered his gaze. "I love her," he began, his voice trembling, "but I fear that my love is not enough to stand against the weight of her crown. I am a farmer, a simple man. What do I have to give a princess, a kingdom, and its people?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Tears welled in Adebisi's eyes, but she stepped forward, her voice strong. "Ọláwálé, Love is not measured by wealth or titles. It is the strength to stand together, even when the storms rage. Olekan raised a hand, silencing the murmurs. Adebisi, you hear his truth. Do you still stand by him, knowing his fears may one day divide you? Adebisi looked at Ọláwálé, her heart aching but resolute. Yes, I stand by him. Because love is not perfection, but persistence. The river began to calm, the glow around Olekan intensifying. The deity spoke again. The truth of love is sacrifice. But sacrifice requires two. Now, Ọláwálé, will you step into the river and offer yourself for her people? Ọláwálé stepped forward, his hands trembling as he neared the swirling waters. The river churned around him, hissing like 1,000 whispers in his ears. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer to Ogun, the god of war, asking for courage. As his foot touched the water, the world around him changed. He was no longer in the sacred grove but in a golden field stretching endlessly. Before him stood a vision of Adebisi, but her face was hardened with sorrow. Behind her was an empty throne, the kingdom in ruins. This is what your fear brings, a voice echoed in his mind. The weight of her love will crush you if you do not believe in your worth. Then the vision shifted. He saw himself standing beside Adebisi in a bustling kingdom. They were older, their faces lined with wisdom, but their hands were still clasped tightly. Their people thrived, and their children played in the palace courtyard. And this is what courage brings, the voice continued. Choose now, farmer. Will you stand with her, or will you step away? The vision faded, and Ọláwálé opened his eyes to see Olekan watching him intently. As the river released its hold, Ọláwálé stepped out, soaking but resolute. He turned to Adebisi and knelt before her, his voice steady. My fears are real, but my love is stronger. I will stand with you, no matter the storm. Olekan's laughter echoed like rolling thunder. You have passed the test, both of you. Love is not the absence of fear, but the will to overcome it. Return to your people, and lead them with this truth in your hearts. The river calmed, its shimmering surface now still. The crowd erupted in cheers, their hearts swelling with admiration for the couple. Oba Adeyemi stepped forward, his voice heavy with emotion. You have proven yourselves worthy. The gods have judged, and so shall I. Adebisi, Ọláwálé, your union is blessed, and the kingdom shall honor it. But as the cheers subsided, Olekan's voice echoed one final warning. Love may have triumphed, but the shadows of the future remain. Beware, for every blessing carries a burden. Days after the gods' decree, the kingdom of Iṣẹyin buzzed with excitement as preparations began for the grand wedding of Adebisi and Ọláwálé. The Oba had declared a week-long celebration, symbolizing the unity of royalty and the common people. The palace courtyard was adorned with vibrant fabrics in deep red, gold, and white. Drummers played ancient rhythms that echoed through the kingdom, and the aroma of freshly prepared yam porridge, suya, and palm wine filled the air. Ọláwálé, dressed in royal agbada gifted by the Oba, stood nervously beside Adebisi, whose coral beads and shimmering gele made her the embodiment of Yoruba beauty. Despite the joy around them, a shadow lingered in the couple's hearts, Olekan's cryptic warning. As the couple exchanged vows under the watchful eyes of their people, a sudden wind swept through the courtyard. The drummers faltered, the flames in the lanterns flickered, and a chilling silence fell. Ọláwálé. Adebisi. A deep voice boomed, unmistakably that of Olekan. Your love is blessed, but challenges lie ahead. The test of leadership is harder than the test of love. The wind vanished, leaving the people murmuring in fear. The Oba raised his hand for silence. Let us not allow fear to overshadow this union. The gods have spoken, and we must be vigilant. Months after the wedding, the kingdom began to face internal strife. Whispers of discontent spread among the council, some of whom disapproved of a farmer marrying into royalty. They believed Ọláwálé lacked the wisdom and strength to lead alongside Adebisi. One council elder, Chief Asaika, was particularly vocal. During a palace meeting, he stood and addressed the Oba with an air of defiance. "Kábíyèsí, the gods may have blessed this union, but what has Ọláwálé proven since then? He has no lineage, no royal training. How can he lead when trouble comes?" Ọláwálé, who had been silently observing, rose to his feet. His voice was steady but firm. "I may not have been born into royalty, but I have lived the struggles of the people. Leadership is not about titles, it is about service." Chief Asaika smirked. "Words are easy, farmer. Let us see how you fare when the kingdom is under siege." Unbeknownst to the council, trouble was indeed brewing. A neighboring kingdom, Egbido, had long coveted Aine's fertile lands. Its king, Ajeboy, was gathering an army, ready to test the strength of the new alliance. One moonless night, a royal messenger arrived at the palace gates, exhausted and covered in dust. He collapsed before the guards, gasping for breath. "Kábíyèsí. King Ajeboy marches with an army. They will reach Ain in 3 days." The palace erupted into chaos. The Oba summoned his warriors, but their numbers were meager compared to Egbido's forces. Panic gripped the council, with Chief Asaika loudly proclaiming that the gods were punishing them for Adebisi and Ọláwálé's union. But Adebisi, calm yet fierce, rose to address the gathering. "This is no time for blame. We must act swiftly and wisely. The strength of Ain lies not just in its warriors but in its unity. Ọláwálé and I will rally the people. Together, we can defend our home." Her words ignited hope. Ọláwálé quickly gathered the farmers, hunters, and blacksmiths. Using his knowledge of the land, he devised a strategy to outwit the invading army. Meanwhile, Adebisi appealed to the deities, leading rituals at the sacred grove to invoke divine protection. As the army of Egbido approached, the people of Ain prepared for a battle that would determine their future. At dawn, the kingdom of Ain awoke to the sound of the talking drum, its deep tones reverberating through the villages, summoning warriors, hunters, and farmers alike. Ọláwálé stood in the town square, his voice steady as he addressed the gathered crowd. "My brothers and sisters, we have tilled the land and provided for this kingdom. Now, it is time to defend it. Egbido believes we are weak, but they do not know the strength of our unity." The crowd roared in agreement. Hunters stepped forward, wielding spears adorned with charms from the Babalawo. Blacksmiths brought freshly forged blades and shields, their edges gleaming in the rising sun. Even the women joined, carrying supplies and ready to protect their homes. Meanwhile, Adebisi walked alongside the priestesses to bless the warriors. She placed sacred cowries and red beads around their wrists, whispering prayers to Ogun for strength and to Oya for the winds of victory. As the preparations continued, Oba Adeyemi summoned Ọláwálé and Adebisi to his chambers. He looked at them with a mix of pride and concern. "The gods have chosen you for this moment. Ọláwálé, prove to the council and the people that their faith in you is not misplaced. And Adebisi, remember, a leader's strength lies not just in strategy but in sacrifice." They both nodded, determined to rise to the occasion. By nightfall, scouts returned with grim news. King Ajeboy's forces had camped just outside the forest bordering Ain. The invaders had a large army of seasoned warriors armed with iron-tipped spears and horses, but they underestimated the land and its people. Ọláwálé devised a plan to use the terrain to their advantage. He divided their forces, sending hunters into the forest to set traps and ambushes while the farmers and warriors fortified the village. He and Adebisi led the main force, waiting near the forest edge to confront the invaders. When the invaders advanced at dawn, their progress was halted by cleverly concealed traps, pits filled with sharpened stakes and nets that ensnared horses. The hunters emerged from the trees, their arrows flying with deadly accuracy. King Ajeboye's generals ordered a retreat, but as they regrouped, Ọláwálé and Adebisi's forces charged, their war cries echoing through the battlefield. The clash of swords and the pounding of drums created a chaotic symphony of battle. In the midst of the fight, Ọláwálé faced a towering warrior from Egbidu. The man swung his blade with deadly precision, but Ọláwálé, agile and determined, dodged and countered with a strike that disarmed his opponent. Cheers erupted from the Iron fighters, their morale boosted by their leader's bravery. After the skirmish, the people of Iṣẹyin celebrated their unexpected victory. But in the quiet of the night, a mysterious figure arrived at the palace gates. Clad in flowing white robes, her face hidden beneath a hood, she introduced herself as an oracle from Oyo, a neighboring kingdom. The oracle was brought before Oba Adeyemi, Adebisi, and Ọláwálé. She spoke in a voice that seemed to echo beyond the room. Your victory today is only the beginning. Egbidu will not relent. They will return stronger, with a force led by someone who knows your every move. Adebisi frowned. Who would betray us? The oracle turned to Ọláwálé, her voice dropping to a whisper. The betrayal lies not in the present but in the past. Someone you trust bears a secret, one that will shape the fate of this war. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Oba Adeyemi dismissed the oracle with gifts, but her warning left everyone uneasy. That night, Ọláwálé found it hard to sleep. His mind raced with possibilities. Was it someone in the council? A trusted warrior? Or was there a deeper truth yet to be uncovered? The next morning, Ọláwálé called a secret meeting with Adebisi in the palace gardens, away from the ears of the council and guards. The oracle's words weighed heavily on him. Adebisi, the oracle's warning troubles me. If there is a traitor among us, how can we trust anyone? Could it be someone in the council? Chief Asika has always doubted me. Adebisi shook her head thoughtfully. Chief Asika is ambitious, but he wouldn't betray the kingdom outright. We must tread carefully. If we accuse the wrong person, we could divide our people during this critical time. Just as they were deep in discussion, a palace maid approached hesitantly. Kobiyisi, she whispered, addressing Adebisi with respect, I overheard Chief Asika speaking to someone in the outer courtyard last night. It sounded suspicious. Ọláwálé and Adebisi exchanged a look. Thank you, Ọláwálé said. You've done well to come forward. Tell no one of this. Determined to uncover the truth, Ọláwálé devised a plan to test Chief Asika's loyalty. That evening, he staged a private meeting with a few trusted warriors and deliberately discussed a false strategy for defending Iṣẹyin. He made sure the conversation was loud enough for Chief Asika, who had been lingering nearby, to overhear. We'll move our forces to the eastern border by sunrise, Ọláwálé said, feigning confidence. If Egbidu attacks from the west, they'll find no one to oppose them. Later that night, Ọláwálé and Adebisi secretly followed Chief Asika as he slipped out of the palace. He made his way to the edge of the forest, where he met the same cloaked figure. From the shadows, Ọláwálé could hear their whispered exchange. Tell King Ajeboye to strike the western gate, Chief Asika said. Ọláwálé is moving the warriors east. The kingdom will fall before sunrise. Adebisi clenched her fists in anger, but Ọláwálé held her back. We have what we need, he whispered. Let's return and prepare for the real battle. Before dawn, Ọláwálé summoned his trusted warriors and laid out his plan. Instead of moving their forces east, they would station their strongest fighters at the western gate, where the true attack would come. Hunters and farmers would create diversions at the eastern border, lighting fires and making noise to confuse the enemy. By the time the sun rose, King Ajeboye's forces marched confidently toward the western gate, expecting little resistance. But instead, they were met with a fierce defense. Yoruba warriors, led by Ọláwálé himself, fought valiantly, their morale bolstered by the knowledge that they were defending not just their land but their unity as a people. In the heat of the battle, Chief Asaika was captured trying to flee the palace. The guards dragged him before Oba Adeyemi, who looked at him with deep disappointment. "You have betrayed your people for what? Power. Wealth," the Oba thundered. Chief Asaika, trembling, stammered, "Kobiyisi, I thought aligning with King Ajeboye would strengthen the kingdom." "Strength does not come from betrayal," the Oba replied. "It comes from loyalty and sacrifice. Your actions will not go unpunished." The battle raged on, but Aines warriors, guided by Ọláwálé's brilliant strategy, overwhelmed King Ajeboye's forces. By noon, the invaders retreated, leaving behind their weapons and wounded. The people of Ain cheered as their enemies fled, their spirits buoyed by their unexpected triumph. Back at the palace, Oba Adeyemi summoned the council to deliver judgment on Chief Asaika. The traitor stood before the court, his head bowed in shame. "Chief Asaika," the Oba began, his voice heavy with authority, "you betrayed this kingdom for personal gain, endangering not only your people but the legacy of our ancestors. Betrayal deserves death, but we are a kingdom of wisdom and mercy. Instead, you shall live to serve Ain in the harshest conditions, rebuilding the homes and farms destroyed by this war." Chief Asaika wept openly, thanking the Oba for his mercy. Meanwhile, Ọláwálé was officially recognized as a true leader of the people. The Oba presented him with a ceremonial sword, a symbol of his courage and wisdom. Adebisi, too, was honored, and her bravery and spiritual guidance were praised by all. As peace returned to the kingdom, the oracle returned to the palace. This time, she came to deliver a final message to Ọláwálé and Adebisi. "The gods are pleased with your courage, but remember this: unity is fragile. Trust must be earned, and vigilance must never waver. A kingdom thrives not on power but on the harmony of its people." With that, she departed, leaving the leaders of Ain wiser and more united than ever. Months later, Ain flourished. The lands were fertile, the people prospered, and the scars of war began to heal. Adebisi and Ọláwálé worked together to ensure that the kingdom remained strong and just. Under the guidance of Oba Adeyemi, the kingdom's laws were revised to prevent any future betrayals. The lesson of unity and trust became the foundation of their governance. What did you learn from this tale of love, betrayal, and redemption? Yoruba culture teaches us that even in our darkest moments, wisdom and unity can lead us to triumph. Subscribe to Echoes Africa Stories now and join us for more inspiring African stories filled with lessons, mystery, and culture. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new adventure.